from Gabby Ogbonlahor, Darren Bent before him, and Danny Murphy to start with on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. It means it's time on Drive for this.
The Monday Arsenal.
Love a bit of Monday Arsenal, don't we, Dean Ashton? So let's get into it, shall we? Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, as we understand it, he was given permission to fly out of the country on a personal matter, returned late, and therefore it was deemed to be, and we don't know the details of what the personal matter was, but it was deemed to be such ill discipline from the captain that Mikel Arteta left him out. Mikel Arteta's not going to do that lightly. He's also not going to hang out his captain to dry lightly either, is he? So this must have been serious in Mikel Arteta's eyes. So I know it's hard because we haven't got the full details of what happened, but bearing in mind the repercussions it's led to, are you backing Arteta on this one?
Well, I am, because regardless of which player it is, whether he's captain or not, if you feel that it's not right and you know the protocols haven't been adhered to, then you have to make sure that you stick to the rules that you set as a manager. The minute you change for one player, unless it is somebody so outrageously special that the rest of the team would understand it, then you start to lose the rest of the players. There's no doubt about that. So Arteta seems pretty strong, and he has been pretty strong throughout his tenure at Arsenal. Again, we're almost not letting the truth get in the way of a good story at the moment, aren't we, with Aubameyang? We don't really know what happened. We don't know the protocols as well, if the flight's been delayed, or whether it's not his fault that he's not back in time, and then does he have to have a PCR test? Does he have to wait for that? Does that then mean he hasn't been able to train, and therefore that's why he's missed out? Not necessarily just himself getting back late. We don't know any of that.
All right, that's fair enough. But surely Mikel Arteta will be in charge of that information. And if it is something that is really beyond Aubameyang's control, and he has been given permission to go, remember, but if the return or the lateness of the return is beyond his control, then surely Arteta doesn't come down so publicly and so heavily on him like this.
But when he's going to be asked the question, isn't he? So he's going to have to give answers to the question, and he probably doesn't want to just go down a corridor that he doesn't want to, in terms of having to lie. So I think he's done the right thing in what he said. He's in a difficult position, Arteta, because let's face it, who else has he got to pick as captain? Because he's got such a young side. So many of that starting 11 are early 20s. And being a captain is a big responsibility. It takes a big personality, because it's not just the captain on the pitch. You've got to do a lot away from the pitch as a captain. The responsibility of the squad. You're the mouthpiece of the squad. He hasn't got many experienced players that he can turn to. Now, I think naively he's gone for Aubameyang, who's a maverick, who's somebody that I would never associate as being a captain, and he's someone that I think you've got to allow to express himself, to be himself, to probably get the best out of him, and having the restraints of the captaincy, I don't think would help him. But who else does he pick? Does he suddenly put Ramsdale in, who's a young guy? Do you put Ben White in, who's a young guy? He can't trust Xhaka, who has been captain. Tierney's been out of the side. So who does he pick? It's a difficult situation, and it's something he doesn't need right now either, because Arsenal actually have been doing okay. They're 6th in the league. They're only a couple of points away from West Ham. They've picked themselves right up. There's been some good headlines for Arsenal. This isn't really what he needs at the moment.
Yeah, the interesting one is if he is stripped of the captaincy, and that's what a lot of people are saying should happen now. Aubameyang should be stripped of the captaincy. And again, I'll point out, you're right, Dean. We aren't in full command of the facts. So I think I'm stopping just short of saying he should be stripped of it, because we don't know the full facts. However, to suggest that he shouldn't be stripped of it just because there might not be a replacement, I don't think is the right way to go. And Arsenal have gone with this policy of young players. It's how their signings went. That's the policy in the summer. And they're looking not necessarily for an immediate return to top four, for example, but they are looking in the longer term for these young players to flourish and develop and become a solid unit and a really successful winning side. So I think it would be a sensible policy for them to go with one of those younger players as the captain. And I think they do have players like that who, for me, the standout is Bukayo Saka, who's always in the first team if he's fit. I know he's young. Nobody needs to tell me he's young. I get that. But he's still a leader. He's shown leadership qualities beyond his years. So for me, it's an obvious choice. Loves Arsenal. Could have angled for a move in the summer after the Euros. Didn't. He wanted to stick around. He wanted to be part of Arsenal. He seems to love the club and the fans love him as well. For me, it's an obvious choice. And now you've got Aubameyang, who's the captain. I'm with you. I think it's a strange choice. I thought it was a strange choice to give him the contract. And I remember saying it on talkSPORT when they were deciding, shan't we give him the contract? It was up in the air. Is he going to go? Don't let the contract run down. I get that. I was listening to White and Jordan this morning. Sam Matface in for Jim White. Made some very good points about how Arsenal have been stung before letting contracts run down. And they couldn't do that with Aubameyang. However, to give him such a mega contract, and he's 32 now, I kind of sense that his form might dip. It absolutely did, and I don't think it's fully recovered. But I'm also looking at it and think, are there better candidates for the captaincy? I do look at Ramsdale, and yes, I couldn't have told you this at the start when they signed him. I didn't know that he was even going to be the number one, never mind captaincy material. He clearly is captaincy material. Ben White, I think, is as well. You mentioned him. Tierney, yes, I appreciate he's been injured, but he's a captain as well. Saka is definitely, he would be my captain if I was Arsenal manager right now. Aubameyang, I think he needs the captaincy taken away from him just to help him with his form, because he should be scoring 20 plus goals a season. That's what he was doing. And then it's suddenly dipped. So he needs to get back to that. So forget the captaincy. Forget about, ill discipline and all that. Just get on with scoring goals and being good at what you are, which is a goal-scoring striker. I think taking some of the other issues away where he's seen as a role model with the captaincy, I think that can only help Aubameyang if they take that away from him.
I think the burden of the captaincy will certainly be at the forefront of your mind if you're in bad form, which he is. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is adverse to having a bad run of form, especially strikers, and losing confidence. And that's what it looks like he has. The misses that I've seen, Newcastle especially, because I was there live to see it, and he completely, missed that chance. And he maybe needs that for his confidence, to take that away, that burden away.